Let me tell you about Sarah. She's 28, works in digital marketing, makes about $58,000 a year. Not rich, but definitely not struggling. Last Tuesday, she was scrolling Instagram at lunch when she saw this ad for a winter coat. Beautiful camel-colored wool blend. $240. Normally, she'd keep scrolling. $240 for a coat? That's a lot. But this ad was different. It said something that made her pause. Or 4 interest-free payments of $60. $60. That's nothing. That's 2 dinners out. That's less than her phone bill. She clicked, entered her info, approved in 30 seconds. Coat ordered, dopamine hit, felt amazing. Here's the thing though, when that coat arrived 3 days later, Sarah had completely forgotten she still owed $180 on it, and she definitely didn't remember the $47 she owed Afterpay for those sneakers from 2 weeks ago, or the $89 left on her Klarna account for that kitchen gadget she's used exactly once. If this sounds even remotely familiar, if you've ever thought it's just 4 payments, this video is going to make some things click into place that you really need to understand. My name is Jack, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people make terrible financial decisions, and buy now, pay later might be the most cleverly designed financial trap of the past decade. If you want to understand how a payment option that feels completely harmless is quietly destroying your financial future, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to show you the exact psychological mechanisms that make BNPL so addictive, the hidden math that the companies don't want you to see, and most importantly, the specific dollar amount where this goes from convenient payment option to financial crisis waiting to happen. And I'm warning you now, that number is way lower than you think. Buy now, pay later companies will tell you this story, and it sounds great. They'll say, we're democratizing access to goods. We're helping people afford things they need without predatory credit card interest. We're the good guys fighting against big banks. And on the surface, it seems mathematically obvious that they're right. If you need a $200 winter coat and you can split it into 4 payments of $50 instead of paying 22% credit card interest, that's better, right? That's just smart money management. Except that's not what's actually happening. What's actually happening is one of the most sophisticated behavioral traps in modern consumer finance, and the companies running these platforms know exactly what they're doing. According to a 2023 study by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, 43% of BNPL users have overdrawn their bank account trying to make a BNPL payment. 43%. Nearly half of users end up in a worse financial position than if they had just saved up and paid cash. But here's the part that should terrify you. The average BNPL user doesn't just have one loan, they have 5 simultaneous buy now, pay later loans running at the same time. And most of them can't tell you how much they currently owe across all their accounts. Think about that. People can't even track their own debt anymore because it's been sliced into so many tiny pieces that it becomes invisible. Let me take you back for a second, because understanding how we got here is crucial to understanding the trap. In 2015, a Swedish company called Klarna started expanding aggressively into the US market. Affirm launched around the same time. Then came Afterpay, Sezzle, Zip, and about 50 others. But here's what most people don't realize. Buy now, pay later isn't actually new. It's Layaway in reverse. Your grandparents probably used Layaway. You picked out something you wanted, the store held it, you made payments, and once it was paid off, you got to take it home. The key detail? You didn't get the item until you'd paid for it. You had to delay gratification. BNPL flipped the script. You get the item immediately. The gratification is instant, and you promise to pay later. It's the same financial structure, but with the psychology completely reversed, and that reversal changes everything. See, when you're making payments on something you don't have yet, your brain stays in saving mode. You're working toward a goal. But when you're making payments on something you already own, something you're already using, your brain is in spending mode. The item feels free because you already have it. This is why BNPL exploded during the pandemic. E-commerce went crazy. People were bored and shopping online. Stimulus checks were hitting accounts, and these apps made spending feel completely frictionless. According to data from Adobe Analytics, BNPL usage grew 230% from 2020 to 2022. 230%! And the average transaction size? It's not big purchases anymore, it's $135. People are financing their groceries, their gas, their daily coffee. Alright, let's talk about what actually happens to your money when you use BNPL. And I want you to be really honest with yourself as we go through this. Let's say you're making $55,000 a year. After taxes, that's about $3,400 take-home per month. Totally reasonable income. You should be able to live comfortably, save a bit, maybe take a vacation once a year. Now let's say you use BNPL responsibly. You're not going crazy, you just use it for things you were going to buy anyway. Maybe a new laptop for work, some new clothes, a piece of furniture, totally normal stuff. Here's what that actually looks like in month 1. You buy a laptop for $800, 4 payments of $200. Seems manageable. You grab some new work clothes, $240 total, 4 payments of $60. You see a great deal on a couch, $600, 4 payments of $150. You need new running shoes, $160, 4 payments of $40. In that first month, you've spent $1,800 total, but you only paid $450, the first installment of each purchase. Your brain processes this as I only spent $450 this month. It feels fine. You still have money in your account. But here's what's actually happening. You've created $1,350 in debt that's now sitting in the background like a time bomb. And here's where it gets really interesting. Month 2 arrives. You're not buying anything new. You're being good, but you owe $200, laptop, payment 2 of 4, $60, clothes, payment 2 of 4, $150, couch, payment 2 of 4, $40, shoes, payment 2 of 4. That's $450. Half your discretionary income is gone before you even think about what you want to buy this month. And here's the psychological trap that makes this so insidious. Each individual payment feels small. $200 doesn't feel like a big deal when you're making $3,400 a month. $60, that's nothing. $40, barely noticeable, but you're not paying $40. You're paying $450, then $480 again. It's just broken into pieces so small that your brain can't properly process the total damage. According to research from the University of California, people using BNPL spend on average 20 to 30% more than they would if they paid in full up front. Not because the items cost more, but because the pain of payment has been removed. There's a term for this in behavioral economics. It's called payment decoupling. When you separate the moment of consumption from the moment of payment, your brain doesn't properly register the cost. It's the same reason people spend more with credit cards than cash, but BNPL takes it even further because there's not even a credit card bill at the end of the month showing you the total damage. You know what the average BNPL user has in total outstanding payments? $883. That might not sound like a lot, but remember, that's on top of everything else. That's $883 that has to come out of future paychecks for things they've already bought and probably already forgotten about. Now here's where this goes from slightly concerning to genuinely dangerous, and this is the part the BNPL companies absolutely do not want you to understand. Every single one of those payment plans creates what I call a financial tripwire. Any unexpected expense, any emergency, anything that disrupts your normal cash flow, and suddenly you're in crisis mode. Your car needs repairs, $600. Normally annoying, but manageable, except you've already got $480 in BNPL payments hitting your account this month. Now that $600 repair just became $1,080 in expenses, and you don't have it. So what do? You miss a BNPL payment. Here's what happens next, and this is where the interest-free promise completely falls apart. Missed payment fees average $25 to $35 per occurrence. That $40 shoe payment you missed? Now it's $75. And if you're late on multiple accounts, you're paying multiple fees. But here's the worst part. Many BNPL services report missed payments to credit bureaus. That thing you bought to avoid credit card debt? It's now trashing your credit score anyway. And here's the really insidious part. Once you miss one payment, now you're juggling. You're trying to figure out which bills to pay, which BNPL accounts to prioritize, whether to overdraft your checking account or just let something go to collections. A study from Credit Karma found that 34% of BNPL users have missed at least one payment, 1 in 3. And once you're in that situation, you're basically trapped because you can't cancel the payments. The debt doesn't go away just because you realized it was a mistake.
You're stuck making payments on a coat you wore twice, a gadget you don't use, furniture you don't even like anymore, and you're paying for it with money you need for actual current expenses. This is what I mean by tripwires. You've scattered dozens of small financial obligations across your future, and any one of them can blow up if your income fluctuates even slightly. All right, here's the part where I'm going to give you a specific number. Because just like there's a wealth threshold that changes everything, there's a BNPL threshold where this goes from manageable convenience to ticking time bomb. That number is $400 in total monthly BNPL payments. Here's why this number matters. Research shows that once your BNPL obligations exceed about 12 to 15% of your monthly take-home pay, the probability of missing a payment increases by over 60%. For someone making $55,000 a year with about $3,400 take-home, that threshold is right around $400. Under $400 total per month across all BNPL accounts, most people can juggle it. It's tight, it's not ideal, but it's survivable. Over $400 and you've entered what I call the payment cascade. You're very likely to miss something, which triggers fees, which makes it harder to pay the next thing, which creates more fees, which damages your credit, which makes everything more expensive going forward. And here's the scary part. Getting to $400 in monthly BNPL payments is incredibly easy. That's just 5 purchases of $320 each. 5. Most people blow past this threshold without even realizing they've crossed it because they're not tracking total monthly obligations. They're just looking at individual purchase amounts. Think about it this way. If I asked you right now, how much do you owe in BNPL payments across all your accounts? Could you answer that without checking your apps? Could you tell me your total monthly payment obligation? If the answer is no, and statistically it probably is, you're already in dangerous territory. You're flying blind with financial tripwires scattered across your path. Now, you might be wondering, if this is so dangerous for users, why are these companies pushing it so hard? And why do stores love it so much? Here's what most people don't realize. When you use buy now, pay later, you're not the customer, you're the product. BNPL companies make money 3 ways. First, they charge merchants 2 to 8% of every transaction, way more than credit card processing fees. Stores pay this because BNPL users spend more, a lot more. According to Afterpay's own data, merchants see average order values increase by 20 to 50% when they offer BNPL. People buy more expensive items and add more to their cart because the payment feels smaller. Second, BNPL companies are collecting insane amounts of data about your shopping habits, your income, your behavior patterns. They know what you buy, when you buy it, how much you can afford, when you're likely to impulse purchase. That data is incredibly valuable. Third, and this is the kicker, they make money when you screw up. Late fees, failed payment fees, interest charges if you restructure the loan, overdraft fees triggered by their payment attempts. A 2022 CFPB report found the BNPL companies collected over $1 billion in fees from users in a single year. $1 billion! That's not coming from responsible users who pay on time. That's coming from people who are struggling. The entire business model is built on volume and on a percentage of users getting in over their heads. They need you to use it more often than you should for smaller purchases than make sense, because that's how they grow. And the apps are designed to encourage exactly that. Push notifications about sales, emails about deals, pre-approved spending limits that automatically increase, one-click purchasing that requires zero thought. It's not a coincidence that using BNPL feels effortless while tracking your BNPL debt feels impossible. That's by design. Alright, so what do you actually do about this? Because I'm not just going to tell you BNPL is bad and leave you hanging. Let me give you a framework that actually works. I call it the one payment rule, and it's brutally simple. Never have more than one active BNPL account ever. Not one per store, not one per category, one total. If you have an outstanding BNPL balance anywhere, you don't take on another one until the first is completely paid off. This does two things. First, it forces you to actually think about whether you need the item. If you can't take on a new BNPL loan because you're still paying for the last thing, maybe you don't actually need the new thing. Second, it keeps your total monthly obligation manageable. One BNPL purchase means one set of payments. You can track it. You know exactly when it ends. You're not juggling 5 different payment schedules across 3 different apps. But here's the deeper principle. If you can't afford to buy something outright and you can't save up for it within 30 days, you probably shouldn't be buying it at all. I know that sounds harsh. I know there are exceptions for genuinely necessary purchases. But be honest with yourself. The laptop might be necessary. The coat might be justified. But the 5th pair of sneakers, the gadget you saw on TikTok, the impulse purchase because the payment was only $30, those aren't necessities. Those are consumption masquerading as convenience. Here's what I want you to do instead. Take whatever you would have put toward a BNPL payment this month and put it in a savings account labeled Next Purchase. Do that for 2 months, 3 months, however long it takes. When you've saved enough to buy the thing outright, then decide if you still want it. I'm willing to bet that 30 to 40% of the time you won't. The impulse will have passed. You'll realize you don't actually need it, and you'll have money saved instead of debt accumulated. This isn't about never buying anything. It's about breaking the cycle where your future income is already spent before you even earn it. Because here's what this is really about. And this is the part that might make you uncomfortable. Buy now, pay later isn't actually a payment method. It's a lifestyle. It's the financial embodiment of the idea that you deserve things now, that waiting is somehow a moral failing, that delayed gratification is for people who aren't living their best life. But here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. The reason you need buy now, pay later isn't because you don't earn enough money. It's because you're trying to live a lifestyle that costs more than you make. That's not a personal attack. That's just math. If the only way you can afford your current consumption pattern is by spreading payments across multiple months, then your consumption pattern is too expensive. And I get it, I really do. We're bombarded with ads showing us the life we should be living. Instagram is full of people with perfect clothes and perfect homes and perfect everything. The algorithm is designed to make you feel like you're missing out if you're not buying things. But those people are either making way more money than you, or they're drowning in debt that they're not showing you. There's no third option. The families who actually build wealth, who actually achieve financial security, aren't the ones using BNPL to keep up appearances. They're the ones living below their means, saving the difference, and building a foundation that can't be shaken by a missed payment or an unexpected expense. They have something that BNPL users have traded away: flexibility. Margin, options. When you've pre-spent the next 3 months of your income on payment plans, you have zero flexibility. You can't handle an emergency. You can't take advantage of an opportunity. You can't say no to a job you hate because you need every dollar of that paycheck just to cover obligations you've already created. You're trapped in a cycle where you're working to pay for things you've already bought, so you can keep buying more things to make yourself feel better about working all the time. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, today, before you close this video, open every BNPL app you have. Write down every outstanding balance. Add them up. Look at your total monthly payment obligation. If that number makes you uncomfortable, you're already in the trap. But knowing you're in it is the first step to getting out. Stop taking on new BNPL loans immediately. Zero, not one more. Pay off what you have. It might take 3 months, might take 6, but get it down to 0. Then ask yourself this question: what would it feel like to only buy things you can actually afford right now? Not 4 weeks from now, not spread across 8 weeks, right now. I know that might mean buying less. I know it might mean waiting longer. I know it might mean making peace with not having the latest thing the moment you want it. But it also means you'd sleep better. It means you'd stop getting that anxious feeling every time a payment hits your account. It means you'd actually own the things you buy, instead of making payments on depreciating items you'll be bored with before they're even paid off. The buy now, pay later trap isn't about whether you can afford the individual payments. It's about whether you can afford to keep mortgaging your future just to fund your present. The companies offering these services are betting you won't figure this out until it's too late. They're betting you'll keep clicking split into 4 payments without ever adding up the total damage. Don't prove them right. If this video helped you see BNPL differently, if it made you check your apps and realize you're in deeper than you thought, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges how you think about money. Drop a comment and let me know your total BNPL balance. No judgment, just awareness, because you can't fix a problem you won't acknowledge, and acknowledging this one might be the most important financial decision you make this year.